My beloved child, a truth not easy to receive is about to be revealed. A spiritual tragedy is drawing closer with every breath. I have knocked on the door of your heart with silent signs, but you brushed them aside like the morning breeze. And now, I can no longer remain silent. This is the final bell before the flood of the spirit realm that you must face. You do not realize that the peace you cling to is merely a mask hiding a sacred tragedy that is quietly unfolding. This tragedy does not come to seek your permission. It descends like a quake from heaven, tearing apart everything you once called stable. I allowed you to taste small victories, but I cannot let your soul slumber while the abyss lies just ahead. The tragedy will strike like a crushing blow, not to punish you, but to expose what you have avoided. You have lived too long without truly depending on me. And in that very breaking, I will rebuild you into a new being, one no longer relying on your own strength, but trembling before the holiness of what I am doing. This tragedy approaching is unlike anything you've ever encountered. It is not merely an external event, it is a collision at the very depth of your soul. It will strip away the masks you've worn, shatter what you once called safe, and force you to look at yourself in the mirror of my truth. You will feel as though you are collapsing, but in truth you are being reborn. I am not throwing you into the fire to destroy you, but to forge you with a light no one else can bring but me. You will feel betrayed by the very promises I once spoke, but remember, you are only seeing part of the story. What I am dismantling is not my promise, it is the false imagination you attach to it. I have not changed. I am still the one who parted the sea, healed the paralyzed, and remained silent but never distant. And this tragedy will be the moment I show you true love does not avoid pain, but through pain, the door to glory is opened. You will long to return. You will want to cry out, "This is not fair." You will question my love like a child, afraid of abandonment. But that is the very moment I am closest to you. When you are lost in the dark, I will become the path itself. When you lose all definitions of yourself, I will re-establish your identity with the hand that formed your soul. This tragedy, though it bears the shape of devastation, is the prelude to a holy song heaven has composed since before your life began. My beloved, I know your heart is in turmoil. This tragedy comes like a toxic wind across the field of your life. It sweeps away what you once called stability, blessing, and order. I have seen you silently holding yourself amidst the ruins, asking, "Why did you let this happen?" But child, if I cannot break what you cling to, how can I place in your hands what surpasses your understanding? Tragedy is not a sentence, it is a key, and I do not place it in your hands to crush you, but to unlock what you never dared dream you could enter. You think you are losing everything, but in truth you are being separated from what no longer serves my sacred purpose in you. You are being drawn out of a comfort zone you unknowingly turned into a prison. I know it hurts, but child, if I did not love you, I would have let you be, left you in the counterfeit, left you in the shallow. But because I love you deeply, I let the old door slam shut so a new way might be seen only when nothing blocks your eyes. It is within tragedy that new life begins to sprout, not loud, not dazzling, but fierce. Do you remember? There was a time you prayed, "Lord, use me. Show me my true purpose." You thought I forgot, but I did not. I am simply answering in a way you never expected. You asked to grow in me, and this tragedy is the first lesson in learning to stand firm without external props. Not to leave you alone, but to reveal that true strength lies not in control, but in trusting me even when you don't understand what is happening. You will not return the same. No longer a child living on borrowed faith or swayed by fleeting emotions. I am rebuilding you not on sand but on rock. I am shaping a new identity within you, strong, deep, and steady. You will not only know me as the giver of blessings but as the companion in fire, as the one who does not remove tragedy but transforms it into glory. And when you look back, you will whisper in your heart, "Thank you, Father, for not letting me live forever in what I thought was enough." My beloved, I know you are wrestling with silence. Each time you pray and hear nothing, you wonder if I've left. Each time a dream shatters, each time pain lingers, without swift intervention, You begin to doubt. Do you hear me? Do you see me? But child, I have never left you, not for even a single breath. My silence is not absence. It is a quiet covering of presence beyond your senses. Sometimes only in silence can your soul begin to truly hear me. I am not silent out of neglect. I am silent because I am building something within you, an endurance that noise cannot nurture. In the midnight hours I am hidden not to punish, but so your soul may learn to feel me through faith, not emotion. The closest ones to me in Scripture walked through that silence: Job, David, Jesus in Gethsemane. Not because they were forsaken, but because they were in the deepest phase of spiritual formation. You are there now, not forgotten, but being shaped. Have you noticed, even though I do not speak every tear you shed, I see. I walk with you through every fall, not to keep you from stumbling, but to hold you when you do. I do not stop the storm because I want you to know that I am your refuge in the storm. Every time you break, I am there gathering each shard like precious gold to refine again in the fire. Not a moment of your pain is wasted before me. They are the raw materials I use to write a life no longer dependent on what is outward. This silence, dear child, is not coldness. It is a compressed presence deeper than words. I do not need to shout to prove I am near, for true closeness does not need sound. It needs trust. And if you can hold on to faith even when you hear nothing, then you are touching a depth few have ever reached. That is where I wait for you. Not in blinding light, but in gentle shadow, where I still whisper, I am here. My child, I have never left. My beloved, I know you feel lost. There are days when you want to pour out your heart only to find no one truly understands what stirs within you. Those who were once close, once supported you, now seem unable to touch the depths of your soul. They are not wrong, they are simply not called to walk into this part of the journey, because this is holy ground, a spiritual space reserved for you and me alone. Loneliness is not punishment. It is a sign that you have been invited into something more sacred. Not everyone is meant to understand what I am doing inside you. They will look at circumstances, at appearances, and draw conclusions, sometimes with pity, sometimes with criticism. You will hear them say you've lost your way, that you should return to what is stable. But child, those words do not reflect the true value I've planted in you. You are carrying something never seen before, a new seed of life being formed from the ashes of the old. And no one sees that but me. I know there will be times when you want to explain yourself to be understood, to pour out your heart so others won't misunderstand you. But my dear child, some things are so sacred they cannot be expressed in words, nor can they be fully grasped by another's mind. And you don't need to prove anything. I see it all. I know it all. And I am pleased with your quiet faithfulness, even when others don't understand what you're living for. That is true faith. That is true love. That is the deepest communion, when only my eyes and your heart understand each other. Those who misunderstand you are also part of the refining, not to harm you, but to sever your dependence on human affirmation. I am teaching you that your worth isn't defined by the agreement of others, but by me alone. And once you are grounded in me, you will no longer be shaken by the opinions of man. Loneliness will become a sacred meeting place. Misunderstanding will become a covering of divine protection. And in that silence you will hear me more clearly than ever before. You are mine. I am pleased with you. Keep going. My beloved, if you feel like the darkness is closing in thicker than ever, don't be afraid. That only means the light is very near. Before every great shift I bring about in your life, the enemy comes with all his rage and deception. He cannot read the future, but he can smell the anointing about to be poured out. And that is why, just as you're standing at the threshold of something new, the opposition intensifies. Not because you're off course, but because you are so close to the glory I've ordained. You thought you were being punished, but in truth you're being pushed to the very edge of breakthrough. He knows that if you cross over, you will no longer be easily controlled. If you touch the anointing I have prepared, you will carry spiritual influence far beyond anything you imagined. He fears that. He trembles when he sees you broken yet still praying, silent yet still believing, in pain yet still crying out, Father. That is what he cannot bear, a soul still clinging to me when all else is stripped away. and so he lies. He whispers into your heart that I've abandoned you, that I no longer love you. He twists the promises I've spoken until they seem distant and dim. You'll hear thoughts like, if God loved me, he wouldn't have let this happen. But my child, do not listen to him. He is the father of lies, and this is his final move, a desperate attempt to sever the cord between me and you. But he does not know that in this very pain I am drawing you closer than ever before. In these tears you are being reshaped to carry a spiritual strength no force in hell can break. The closer you get to the anointing, the more you'll be pressed to your limit, but that is also when I draw nearest. I do not abandon you in the battle, I train you to win it. Don't step back. Don't let the enemy's voice be louder than my gentle whisper. I am still speaking even in the chaos. And if you hold on to me, if you refuse to let go, you will make it through. Not merely survive, but enter in with hands wide open and heart anointed as a warrior who no longer lives for themselves, but for the one who called them by name. My beloved, I know you've thought this was the end. You look at the ruins around you and whisper in your heart, it's over. But my child, I want you to hear this clearly. This is not the end. This is the beginning. The beginning of something your eyes have never seen, your ears have never heard, your heart has never imagined. What you've lost was never random. It was allowed to fall so I could prepare space for what is eternal, what cannot be built on old foundations. There are doors that must close, so you won't be held in outdated places of comfort. What you called stability had to collapse not to destroy you, but to show you that true safety is not found in what surrounds you, but in me alone. The broken pieces you're trying to gather no longer fit the person I'm shaping you into. You are not being shattered, you are being remade. Not to return to what was, but to step into something entirely new where my light becomes your map, where my voice becomes the rhythm of your heart. Beyond this crisis lies the clarity you once begged for. Do you remember? There was a time you cried, Father, show me who I really am and why I was born. That prayer did not fall into a void. It reached me, and now I am answering. Not through the easy path, but through the one that leads straight into my heart. In confusion, you will begin to see. In despair, you will begin to hear. A wisdom no school can teach, a power not born of striving, and an intimacy only the deeply wounded can taste. All of it awaits you on the other side of this heartbreak. You will emerge changed. No longer a child swayed by fleeting feelings, but a mature one who knows how to hear me in the stillness, how to stand firm in the storm, how to love me, not for blessing, but because I am Father. Then you will no longer need signs to believe, you'll believe because you know. You'll no longer chase after wonders, for my presence alone will be enough. That is where I'm leading you. Not to some far-off destination, but into an entirely new spiritual dimension, where nothing, not fear, not doubt, not striving stands between us. Only love. And it is there that the real story begins. My beloved child, I have never turned my back. Even when you can't feel me, even when your heart feels as empty as a room without a soul, I am still there. Quiet, unassuming, but never absent. You thought I had left when in truth I was gently closing the noisy doors of life so you could hear my breath so near deep within your soul. I do not sit on high indifferent to your pain as if watching a play unfold. I am not the one who crosses his arms in cold observation, nor do I cause harm just to test your loyalty. I am your Father, and no father with a heart could ever be unmoved by the tears of his child. But my dear, one true love doesn't always remove pain. There are incisions needed to open your heart. There are losses necessary to make space in your spirit for something sacred and new to enter. Everything I allow in your life is measured on a scale of justice, not too much, not too little. I see your life not through the lens of fleeting time, but with eternal eyes. So when I let the rains fall, I have also prepared the seeds that will only sprout when watered by your tears. Every breaking in you is not beyond my reach. It is not random. It is not blind fate or cruel destiny. It is orchestrated by a hand both powerful and full of love. Right now your heart may feel like tilled ground, messy, torn up, barren. But my child, if the soil isn't turned over, if the hardened layers aren't broken, the seeds of life I've sown cannot take deep root. I don't break the ground to ruin but to ready, not to take but to give a kind of fruit that only those who dare walk through sorrow in faith can truly taste. You will respond. You will hurt. You will cry out within, "Why did you let this happen, Father?" And I do not fault you for those words. I understand your fear. I don't ask you to pretend strength before me. I love your honesty, even in anger, even in pieces. Because it is in that very moment when you weep aloud, when you let go of everything, when you give up trying to understand, I will take you to a place you've never been, where it's just you and me, and nothing stands between us. You may be thinking, if God loves me, why doesn't he act like he used to? Why doesn't he speak or intervene like before? But my child, the love I have for you does not operate the way it once did. I do not repeat miracles like a machine. I make all things new. And this time I want not only to heal you, but to rebuild you from the core. Not merely to repair what is broken, but to create an entirely new being, strong, courageous, saturated with my spirit, and reflecting the light of my kingdom. The tragedy you're going through is not a wall blocking your way, but a curtain I am slowly drawing back. Behind it lies a vision you've never seen before, a spiritual realm where my wisdom becomes the compass within you, where you no longer walk by fear, but by a quiet assurance that even if you fall into my arms. You will no longer live guessing heaven's will, but walking with me, knowing me, sensing me, trusting me, even when everything else is unclear. You may feel like you're being consumed by fire, but not to be reduced to ashes, rather to reveal the pure gold within you, the part you never knew you had. I am allowing the fire not to destroy, but to distinguish what is real from what is false, what must remain from what must be released. In that flame, your true self is being revealed. No longer built by others' expectations, no longer driven by external validation, but grounded in my affirmation, the one who knew you before you were formed. I do not use tragedy as a game. I do not send pain as a test. I allow them as gateways, corridors into new depth thresholds, into a kind of spiritual maturity that only crushed souls can carry. And in that place you will understand what you once only knew in theory, that I am everything, that outside of me there is no firm ground, that no love runs deeper than the love I have for you, a love willing to let you break so that you may be remade in greater glory. You may be walking through days when your prayers go unanswered, nights when your tears soak the pillow and your soul can do nothing but breathe my name. But my child, it is in that very place, in that thick darkness, that I am reshaping your spiritual form. Like a potter who never takes his eyes off the work in his hands, I have not taken my hands off you. Even though you do not yet see the new shape, I already see it, beautiful, strong, and ready to carry my light into the darkness. When all that is old begins to fall away, do not cling to it. Let me give you what only I can. I will teach you to hear my voice in the silence. I will teach you to walk before you see the ground beneath your feet. I will teach you to love without conditions, and when that takes shape, you will realize tragedy was not where I abandoned you, it was where I met you, where I opened your eyes to a spiritual reality far greater than anything on this earth. And then you will understand that it wasn't my silence, it was you learning a new language, the language of faith, of worship, in pain, of light, breaking forth in darkness. You will look back and see, I never left. In the moment that seemed most desolate, I was writing the opening lines of a new chapter, a chapter no longer bound by fear or the eyes of others or past failures. A chapter where you and I, without separation, continue writing the story of eternity. My child, there are things in this fleeting world that you will never understand with reason. There are chapters in your story that only tears can write. And I, with an unchanging love, have penned such pages not to bring you suffering, but to carve eternity into the deepest part of your soul. The event that is coming, which you have not yet fully seen, I have already seen long before your eyes first opened. It is no mystery to me. It is not beyond my reach. In fact, I have appointed its time with a wisdom this world cannot measure, not as a sentence, but as a sacred labor. You will feel confused. I know. You will want to run from what is approaching. You will close your heart thinking I have forgotten you, left you in the middle of faith. But my child, if you could see the full picture as I see it, you would know that nothing is happening outside of my control. Every breath, every piercing ache, every bowed and weary head is held within my hands. I am not watching you fall into chaos from afar. I am in the midst of that chaos, holding your soul even when you no longer have the strength to hold on to yourself. My love is not like the fragile love of mankind, convenient when easy, withdrawn when inconvenient. My love does not retreat when you are disappointed, does not fade when you are angry, does not abandon you when you have questions. I love you still even when you doubt me the most. I choose you still even when you want to reject yourself. You are mine not because you always get it right, but because I have called you by name and sealed your forehead with my eternal breath. This crisis, though it may look like an ending, is in truth the threshold to something I've hidden away just for you. To touch it, you cannot carry old baggage, unspoken pride, dependence on comfort, or entangling relationships that I never placed in your life. I need you to enter with empty hands, unburdened, unresisting, unassuming, for only when you have nothing left to cling to can you receive all that I long to give. I know my silence in your darkest hours wounds you. But my child, that silence is not distance. It is space I've created so. My presence isn't drowned out by other voices. I am speaking not through sound, but through my upholding. Not through arguments, but through each heartbeat that keeps on, even when it wishes to stop. Not through answers, but through a quiet presence that endures in the ashes. You are carrying something far greater than you imagine. And for that to be born, I must allow something in you to die. Perhaps an old expectation. Perhaps an image of yourself you've tried to protect. Perhaps a plan you've carefully built that no longer fits what I want to do. That death is painful but necessary, because I do not want you to live a comfortable life. I want you to live a life with spiritual weight. You are not off course. On the contrary, you are exactly where I've led you, a place of valley and a place of birthing. All new life is born in darkness, in pressure, in tears. No one sees it, no one understands it, and no one can accompany you, for this is a journey I've reserved for just you and me. Those around you will not understand. Some will criticize, others will pity. But my child, do not let their voices muffle the call within. They cannot see what I am forming in you, and you do not need their affirmation to take the next step. Your tears are not wasted. Every drop is kept by me. They are the ink with which I write your next chapter, a chapter no longer governed by human approval but guided by heavenly light. In the darkest night you will learn to see by faith. In the silence you will learn to sense my movement. And in the tragedy you will witness a new version of yourself, deeper, truer, humbler, and stronger in me. This loneliness is not punishment. It is the environment I use to speak to you things you could never hear amid the noise. The words I whisper now will be etched on your heart for life. You will no longer live for praise. You will live to please me. You will stop asking, what do people think, and start asking, Father, what do you think of me? And that, my child, is the true turning point from an immature soul to one who carries the weight of the divine. You once asked me to use you. And I am not through the easy road, but through the real one. I do not need your perfection, I need your honesty. I do not need your strength, I need your dependence. I do not need your brilliance before others, I need your flame to burn in me even when no one sees. For your calling is not a stage, but intimacy. Not superficial influence, but true depth of heart. You will rise, though perhaps not today. You will walk again, even with trembling feet. I will not rush you to run. I will hold your hand and walk with you step by step. Each step in faith is a retreat for the darkness. Each time you choose to trust, even without feeling, the enemy loses a portion of his grip, and little by little you are being transformed, not by a change in circumstance, but by a change in your heart. I do not need you to do great things. I need you to remain in me. For from that stillness I will take you places no one thought you could go. From that quiet trust I will do what echoes into eternity. Do not be afraid. Do not run. Break, I will be the one who mends you. Weep, I will be the one who wipes your tears with my own hand. And then when the wind settles and the dust clears, you will see me not just as your Lord, but as your Father, your companion, the one to whom you've always belonged. My child, there are paths I lead you on where no one else can walk with you. The steps you are taking are not random nor trivial detours at life's crossroads. They are sacred trails, deep valleys, reserved for a chosen soul, a soul being transformed in ways no human eye can perceive. I have ordained this journey not to isolate you, but to teach you how to recognize my presence, even when no one stands beside you. Where you feel most empty is where I am closest. I did not lead you into a barren land just to abandon you in the desert. I did not call you away from familiar shores, only to cast you into a realm of uncertainty. Every withdrawal of those you once leaned on, every distance from the things that used to give you peace, all of it is part of the symphony I am composing. You are not alone. You are simply being set apart by me, as a potter sets aside a treasured vessel from the communal kiln because this vessel requires a more delicate craftsmanship. There will be days when you hear nothing, no word from me, no encouragement from others, no confirmation that you're on the right path. Only a dense silence, as if all of heaven and earth are holding their breath. But child, do not be deceived by that stillness. I am not silent because I have withdrawn. I am silent because I am at work. I am shaping you in the quiet because some of the deepest things can only be formed when no other sound interrupts. As I begin to reach into the deepest layers of your soul, there will be a stripping away. I will remove habits you once considered harmless. I will take from your hands comforts you thought were essential. I will shake the ground beneath your feet so you may know there is no foundation more secure than me. Nothing I do is rushed. Not a single moment is random. Every tremor is measured by my deep love, a love unafraid of being misunderstood, as long as it can make you free. You may not understand why I take away good things, why dreams once lit with hope suddenly fade, why those you trusted turn away or disappear. But child, the vine cannot bear fruit unless it is pruned, and your heart cannot become like mine unless it is reshaped by silence, by seasons with no answers. I am still there in every moment you thought you were forsaken. I am in the storm, holding you like a palm, cradling a flickering spark in the middle of a whirlwind. Though thunder rolls, though lightning flashes, though the world declares you're losing everything, I say the opposite. You are being held more delicately and securely than ever before. You are a precious gem in the heart of the storm. Not a single drop of rain falls on you without first passing through my hand. The enemy of your soul knows what I am doing. He sees the light beginning to shine from the cracks you're trying to conceal. He hears the whispered prayers through your tears. And he fears it. He panics when he sees you broken yet still standing, weak yet still lifting your eyes to the heavens. And because he knows what you are becoming will shake the kingdom of darkness, he begins to whisper. Not shout, just whisper. Soft enough to slip through the weary cracks of your soul. He says, I have abandoned you, that I no longer hear your prayers, that my promises are illusions, that your suffering is proof I've turned my back. But child, do not let those whispers become truth in your heart. Remember, lies only have power when you begin to believe them. And when you let those voices grow louder than mine, you give them permission. But if you keep your heart soft, your eyes lifted, your hands open, you will overcome. Not just survive, but come alive. Not just move forward, but enter in. Enter a level no one reaches without first passing through what you are passing through. You are being refined not to look perfect in the eyes of others, but to be pure in mine. The chains you never knew you wore are being burned away in the fire I've kindled. That fire doesn't come to destroy you, but to destroy what once kept you from the truest version of yourself I created. You will emerge different, not because you're better, but because you're deeper. Not because you gained recognition, but because you learned to be still when no one understood you, and steadfast when no one applauded you. My love for you doesn't need to be felt to be real. It exists because I am love. And true love, my child, does not step back when the beloved is in pain. It draws nearer. That is what I am doing, drawing near to you, in the dark, in the silence, in the breaking. I do not need light to see you clearly. I do not need your words to know your thoughts. I understand even the unspoken sighs, the things you cannot put into words. I hold every heavy breath of yours within me, like a mother holds the heartbeat of her child as they sleep. And in that very breaking, you will come to know that I am not only the God of miracles, but the God who walks with you in suffering. Not only the King on a high throne, but the Father beside the dusty road you're stumbling down. So do not give up. Do not measure your journey by fleeting emotions. Do not assume my silence means I've turned away. On the contrary, I am teaching you how to live without applause, how to believe without seeing, how to love without needing immediate return. And if you keep your heart rooted in the right place in me, you will see this tragedy as not your undoing. It births what peace alone never could. It gives birth to you, the real deep whole, you no longer a shadow of your true self. My child, my eyes have never left you, not even for a fleeting moment. What you're walking through is not outside of my permission, nor is it some random twist of fate. Everything rests in my hand, measured by a wisdom and love far beyond human understanding. This pain is not a crack in my plan. It is the very center of the path I am using to shape you into my glorious image. I know it feels like the sky is falling. I hear the groans of your heart, the muffled whispers too heavy to voice. Lord, I can't take this anymore, and I do not scold you, nor am I angry. You are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to cry, because it is in your weakest moments that you begin to discover that my strength is not something understood by the mind, but felt by the broken soul. I don't need you to be strong to come close. I need you to be honest. There are things that can only be formed in you through breaking. The layers of armor, the walls around your heart, I cannot tear them down with mere promises or fleeting emotion. They must be torn by a holy process where you have no option left but to collapse and cry out, Father, save me. It is at that very place that I not only rescue, but I reshape. I place within you what peace cannot give, what success cannot offer, what recognition cannot build. It is the knowing of me, not through theory, but through a living bond. You have prayed many times, Father, come close to me. But you did not know that such a prayer is an invitation for me to come and disturb everything that no longer aligns with the sacred nature I placed within you. I have drawn near not with a gentle breeze, but with a storm of love. True love does not let you sleep in false safety. It shakes you awake, pulls you from the shadows, and sets you before a light so blinding that at first you think you're being consumed. But child, I am not burning you, I am refining you like gold in the fire. Surrender is never easy. I know, for I am the one who was crucified in silence between heaven and earth when everyone thought my Father had forsaken me. I have walked through the very place you walk now, so you are not alone. When you think I am furthest from you, I am actually holding you closer than ever. And when you feel abandoned, my angels have encamped around you, shielding you from things you cannot see. Not a single one of your cries has been ignored. Every sigh you quietly released I heard as though all creation paused to listen. Every tear that fell, I did not let it vanish into the ground. I caught it, I kept it. Not because I delight in pain, but because those tears carry the fragrance of honesty, of surrender, of faith, without explanation. You think you are breaking, but in truth you are being formed in the hands of the one who knew your true shape before the world began. This tragedy will not destroy you. It will reveal the treasure within you that even you didn't know you carried. It will open a new level of awareness, a place no book can take you, only my presence can lead you. You will enter a new level not by striving but by transformation, not by might but by surrender. And there you will begin to understand why I let certain things fall apart, why I did not answer in the way you asked, why I delayed, because if I had responded sooner, you would not have been ready to receive what I had prepared. There is a kind of peace the world cannot understand. It doesn't come from the absence of storms, but from the certainty of being held in the arms of the one who never changes. I am leading you there, to that place of rest in the midst of chaos. A spiritual mountain built from the very stones of disappointment, heartache, and loss you've endured. None of it is wasted. They are the sacred materials I use to build you into a temple for my presence. Don't run from the pain, my child. Let me be with you in it. Let me open your eyes to see that the darkness is just a velvet curtain before the spotlight reveals my glory. I will not extinguish the small flame inside you. I am breathing into it that it may become a fire no storm can quench. A fire born not of fleeting emotion, but of a real encounter with the holy. You will no longer live the same way. After this, you will come to know me in a way no one could ever teach you. No sermon can grant such intimacy. No theology holds words deep enough to express it. Only those who have truly been broken understand the rhythm of my heart beating through the long nights of solitude. And it is those very ones I choose to carry my presence into the world. Do not mourn what has been lost. What I have taken away, I have replaced with something better, not by your standard, but by the gaze of eternity. What has been cut away was never truly alive, just things withering that you still clung to. Now I am rewriting the story not with ink, but with your very tears. Each chapter will unfold through a new courage, through real love, and through a knowing of me that surpasses shallow doctrines. And as the new chapter begins, you will look back and see the tragedy did not kill you, it gave birth to you. And when that day comes, when light breaks through the veil of pain, you will whisper, "Father, thank you for not letting me stay where it was safe. Thank you for loving me enough to let me break so that I could be remade, but this time in your image. My beloved child, do not think that my silence means I have turned away. Do not imagine that when you suffer I am distant, watching passively as you struggle alone. No, never has there been a moment when I was nearer than right now. I am here not in the noise of miracles, not in thunder or blazing light, but in the gentle hush that seeps into the deepest fibers of your spirit. I am leaning in, listening to every sigh, every trembling beat within you, and every sound is etched into my heart as a sacred prayer. Do you know? Not a single tear of yours has fallen unnoticed. Not a whispered sob has passed through the air without touching eternity. You may feel like you're screaming in a sealed room where no one hears, but all of heaven is holding its breath because your soul is communing with me in its truest language, raw pain. And I, your Father, never turn away from your suffering. I do not ignore it. I am responding not always in the way you expect, but always in the way your soul truly needs. Pain is not punishment, my child. Don't let deception root that lie within you. I do not delight in your wounds. On the contrary, I hate evil. I weep when my creation is trampled by sin and deception. But sometimes it is from the very breaking that I can touch the most hidden part of you, the place peace could never reach, the place comfort could never stir. When everything around you collapses, only then does your soul look up and realize there is only one place unshaken, and it is me. You are being formed not for a fleeting moment of triumph, but for an eternal purpose. Each time you feel rejected, misunderstood, abandoned, know that I am shaping you into a vessel of great worth. You are not forgotten. You are being refined. Not to become like others, but to become what I intended from the very beginning. Every crack in you, every fracture, every ache, I am using them to shape your true form. A form strong enough to carry the most precious thing, my presence. I know you've lost much, perhaps dreams, relationships, even parts of yourself you thought you couldn't live without. But let me say this, not everything lost is a loss. Some things I've taken away because they blocked your way to me. Some people I allowed to leave because they could not walk with you into the next part of your journey. Some doors I closed, not to reject you, but to protect you. I am clearing the space, my child, to make room for goodness you never believed you were worthy to receive. Look back and you'll see what held you back, what dulled the sacred call, what kept you living halfway between old grace and new life. I could not leave you there. Not because you weren't enough, but because you were made for more. And sometimes to bring you there, I must unravel layer by layer the things that seemed stable, but were only covering. Pain didn't come to destroy you. It came to release you. Like a lance that drains an infection, like a flame that purifies, I use tragedy as a holy tool to uncover the true person within you. You will never be who you once were. I am building you not with crumbling bricks, but with eternal stones. I am raising within you a life that cannot be shaken by storms, and to do that, I must test, not to destroy, but to reveal. When gold enters the fire, it is not to be burned, but to separate what is pure from what is not. You are gold in my hands, and I, the holy refiner, watch the fire every moment, not to let you be consumed, but to ensure you are made pure. You will not come through this trial unchanged. You will emerge seeing me differently, not through the lens of what I can give, but through the lens of the unshakable love of a Father who never left. You will hear me differently, not as an echo from sermons, but as a gentle voice in the middle of the night when no one else is near. And you will know the greatest miracle is not my power, but my presence in every moment. I know there are times you want to give up, times when you feel too weak to pray, too empty to cry. But my child, it is in those moments when you can no longer walk that I am carrying you, not with hands of flesh, but with the very breath of my life filling your soul. That is why you are still standing when you should have collapsed long ago. Not because you are strong, but because I never let go. And I will not let go. What you're going through is not a sign that you've been cast aside. On the contrary, this very shaking is the mark that you are being called. Not everyone is invited into this sacred suffering. Only those I trust enough to place into their hands a portion of my eternal kingdom. You are chosen not because you are flawless, but because I long to display my strength through your weakness. When you have nothing left to boast in, I will be all you need. And in that my glory will shine brightest. Do not be afraid, my child. Do not try to understand everything with your limited mind. Do not search for answers in the scattered pieces of tragedy. Let your heart be still and know that I am God, not a distant cold deity, but a kind Father walking beside you even when you can't feel me. Let the pain be the hand that draws you toward me, not what pulls you away. For when you are at your weakest, I am strongest in you. When you no longer know how to pray, it is I who am praying through your soul with groans too deep for words. You are not lost. You are being led into sacred ground where you will know me in ways you've never known before. Not through books, not through teachings, but through this living journey full of tears. Yes, full of pain, but also crowned with radiant light at the end of the path. When you arrive there, you will look back and know everything I allowed to happen was not because I left you, but because I wanted you closer to me than ever before. And in that closeness, you will finally find yourself. My beloved, there are moments in life unlike any other, winds that blow through the soul not to refresh but to uproot. Events that are not merely trials but silent invitations from eternity. And my child, what you are facing is not a common hardship nor a random misfortune. It is a divine intervention hidden within the fabric of time, unveiled precisely at this moment. No, this is not just another wave in your sea of life. This is a rising tide from the throne above. Not a sudden crack, but a break I have allowed so that light might enter through it. You have endured much sorrows, turns, losses, but this time is different. This time is like nothing you've ever faced. It has been designed with perfect precision by me, the one who sees every dimension of you, past, present, and even the future you have yet to imagine. I set this moment in place like a skilled artisan hiding a priceless gem within rough stone. When you were yet unformed in your mother's womb, I knew this hour would come, and not to watch you tremble, not to measure your faithfulness, but to awaken the part of your soul still sleeping, the part I planted long ago, now ready to rise. This is not to harm you, but to draw you into the intersection of the natural and the supernatural, the temporary and the eternal. You thought this was a separation, but truly, it is an invitation to a deeper union between me and you. What will be taken away is not as important as what I am about to give. What will collapse is not as frightening as what I will begin anew from the Spirit by my hand. You may weep. You will not understand everything of that, be certain. But you will encounter me not through a song, not through words, but through the trembling that stirs within your very soul. This is an encounter, a collision between the weakest part of you and the strongest part of me. This is the moment the final wall between us falls, not by the sound of heavenly trumpets, but by the sob of a broken heart. And in that cry you will hear what you have longed to hear. I am still here. I never left. I have waited patiently until you had nothing left to cling to, nowhere left to run but to me. You think this is loss, but it is revelation. Not of the world, not of man, but a revelation from the highest place where my light touches the deepest part of your soul. What you thought was the end will break open like a crack in stone, letting the light in, allowing new life to rise from the barren ground. You will no longer live by what others say about me, but by an undeniable personal experience, an experience no one can take from you. You are stepping into a sacred space, one where no one else can walk with you. I have closed the door behind and opened a path before you that can only be walked by faith. This is no longer a sermon or a promise. This is truth, a costly truth paid for by what you are about to lose. But in return, you will gain what shallow souls can never comprehend, an unshakable intimacy with your Father in heaven. This moment, my beloved, will be etched into your soul like fire carved into stone. It will become a landmark, a new breath for the years ahead. When you look back, you will no longer cry out of pain, but out of gratitude. Grateful that I did not allow you to remain forever in your old safety. Grateful that I let you break so you would no longer fear. And most of all, grateful that in your darkest hour you saw me clearer than ever before. Do not fear moving forward. Even if your steps tremble, I will steady you. Even if your heart hesitates, I will comfort you. Even if your soul cannot yet grasp it all, I will guide you not by dazzling light, but by the gaze of my mercy that never leaves you. This is the hour I open what no one can shut. This is the hour new life is born, not through ease, but through upheaval touched by the Spirit. And one day, when the dust has settled, when you look back with different eyes, you will whisper to your soul, "This was not the end. This was the beginning of real life." My beloved child, when you emerge from this journey not with proud strides, but in the quiet of a soul that has walked through fire, you will know that everything in you has changed. Not just the healing of wounds, but a total renewal of your being. Your prayers will no longer sound the same, for your lips will now tremble in my presence. Your worship will no longer be a song, but every breath, every glance, every decision for every part of you has become a temple. Even the way you love will change, because love will no longer come from effort, but from the breaking you endured and the restoration I myself performed. You will no longer see others through the eyes clouded by judgment, comparison, or expectation. You will see them as I do, not on the surface, but into their souls. And most importantly, you will no longer see me through the lens of a convenient, predictable, controllable God. You will see me with eyes that once wept from not understanding but still believed. Eyes that once wandered but returned to the light. You will call me not only Lord, but the one you cannot live without, not even for a moment. You are no longer the person you once were. Not because you tried to change, but because I stripped away all the layers you mistook for yourself, but were really the sum of fears, expectations, and vague definitions accumulated over time. I dismantled the fences you built not to harm you, but to show you that I alone am your protection. I removed the habits, the knowledge, the teachings you leaned on to construct your faith, so I could refine that faith with living, unfiltered presence, until only what is unshakable remains. What belongs to eternity. For I did not call you to merely survive this life. I did not craft you to blend into the crowd, to cautiously guard your reputation or your comfort. No, my child. I wrote your name into a covenant far greater than any earthly ambition. I called you out of comfort, out of the shadow of fear, out of the garments of control, pride, and self-sufficiency. I called you to the place where I alone am enough. And this tragedy, the very thing you once pleaded for me to spare you from, is the doorway through which the true self I created in you can emerge. A person who no longer lives for approval, but for the inner call where I dwell. There will come a moment, quiet, unmistakable, not loud like thunder nor fierce like a storm, but a stillness of the soul, a pause that takes your breath away. Time will seem to slow, space will thicken, and you will know this no longer belongs to the outer world. What is touching you then is not circumstance, it is a spiritual collision, not coming from outside you, but from within, from the deepest place in your being you yourself have never reached. You will feel that something has shifted, not merely changed, but transformed at the root. Something in you has died, and something else is silently rising from the ashes. It will not need validation. It will not require explanation. It will not be loud, but it will be firm, and you will feel I have been born again, not by ritual but by experience, not by knowledge but by pain washed in presence. That moment will not pass quickly. It will leave its imprint. It will be etched into your memory like a gentle touch from heaven, and years later, as you walk through ordinary days, you will suddenly remember, like a cool breeze brushing past, like a light cutting through rain. You will remember what it felt like to be in the lowest place and to be held by me, the highest. You won't need to tell anyone about it to make it real, for it will have redefined your entire life. From that day on, everything will be different, not because the world has changed, but because you are no longer the same. You will live with deeper compassion, for you have known what it means to be broken. You will walk more gently, for you have carried invisible weights. You will listen more closely, love more slowly, forgive more freely, because I forgave and loved you in your darkest hour. And my child, the greatest wonder of all is this: you will no longer fear tragedy, for you have walked through one and found me in it, no longer the God of pulpits or books, but Father in your tears, the guide in the darkness, the breath in your gasp, the solid rock when all other ground gave way. And once you have known me like that, you will never return to the old way of life. You cannot. So walk on, my child. Slowly is fine. Trembling is okay. But do not stop. I am here, not waiting for you at the end of the road, but walking beside you in every step and every breath. You are no longer alone. You are being transformed. My beloved, do not let your heart tremble at what is coming. I know this shift stirs fear. It will sweep through your soul like a whirlwind, like a flame touching what you've long protected. But child fear holds no power over you if you hold my hand. However fierce the shaking, it cannot throw you from my grasp. I am not a distant observer. I am the one who has measured it all, from the depth of the pain to the width of your soul's endurance. Nothing I allow exceeds what I have prepared you for. You do not enter this season empty-handed. On the contrary, you carry a treasure I poured into you long ago, anointing. You may feel weak, weary, reduced to ashes, but what I pour out does not depend on your strength. I do not choose the strong. I do not call the perfect. I anoint the ones who bow low, who say yes through tears and confusion. And you, whom I called by name, whom I drew from the crowd, you are one of the few who have bowed more often than you even realize. That surrender is a fragrance rising to heaven, and I cannot turn my face away. What is coming, my child, is not merely a trial, it is a response. A quiet yet powerful answer to the nights you stayed awake, the hours you beat your chest crying out to me for the reason you were born. You have prayed not just once. You have wept for me, begged to know my heart, to hear my voice without intermediaries. You've longed to know your meaning in the vast canvas I am painting on this earth. And now I answer, not with thunder from the sky, not with blinding glory, but with an event, a collision that will cause every old thing in you to fall, and you will see me in the ashes. Yes, I do not hide the truth from you. That moment will bring you to your knees. It will burst open the innermost chamber of your heart, the one you yourself feared to touch. It will awaken dreams you thought had died, stir memories buried beneath pain. It will take your breath away as your soul stretches to its limit. But do not confuse pain with ruin. This is not a collapse to end you. It is a breaking to reveal. I do not cruelly strip away. I tenderly prune. In every shaking, I am unveiling the eternal. What you once called peace, stability, and identity is being dismantled, not because they were bad, but because they are not strong enough to carry the weight of what I am about to place before you. I am digging deeper. I am opening space within your soul to pour in what you once did not have room to contain. It is clarity beyond analysis, power that comes not through learning but through breaking, intimacy not born of teaching but of experience, nurtured by me in the midst of fire and smoke. You may not realize it, but it is in the very moment of your breaking that the things I've promised begin to sprout. No more defenses, no more fortresses. Just a bare soul before its creator, and that is the place I love to dwell. Not palaces, not golden altars, but a heart that is broken yet surrendered, shattered yet soft. You think what you're going through is the end, but in truth it is merely the prelude to a new symphony. I am preparing you for what you yourself have asked, the anointing you prayed for, the wisdom you sought, the closeness with me that you once craved so deeply you were willing to lose everything just to have it. But my child, the sacred never rests on shallow foundations. So I must dismantle, I must shake, I must tremble the earth, and when the light bursts forth from the ruins, you yourself will say, it was worth it. Worth every sleepless night, worth every tear, worth every moment of being misunderstood, worth every season when you thought I had turned my face away. Because now you no longer just know about me, you know me. In the flesh, in your breath, in a divine encounter no one can take away. And once you pass through, you will never return to how it was. You will no longer live off the testimonies of others, no longer crave validation from the world. You will become the very place I dwell, the living witness to the power of a Father who knows how to break without destroying, who knows how to touch the wound without harming it, who loves completely and yet holds perfect holiness. My beloved, let me do what I must. Do not resist. Do not rush to conclusions. Do not attribute intentions to me that were never mine. I do not wound to destroy. I wound to heal. And one day, when the storm has passed, when the ashes settle, when your soul stands again fragile yet firm, you will hear something clearer than ever before. My voice whispering within you, I never left. My child, there will come a moment when you must face the truth. The plans you crafted with passion, understanding, and sincerity will not be enough to keep you standing in the spiritual wind about to sweep through your life. You will reach the end of yourself, where all that once made you feel secure begins to shake, where every answer you thought was right falls silent. That, dear one, is not the end, but the beginning. The beginning of an encounter more profound and alive than anything you ever imagined. In that moment when your strength runs dry, when your hands can no longer hold anything, when your mind can't find a way out, I will be there, not as a passerby, but as the one who inhabits. For I am the one who dwells in the highest place, yet also in the lowest corners of your soul. I do not wait for you to climb heights before I come. I meet you in the depths where you collapse with nothing to offer but a torn heart. You will find yourself brought low, not out of shame nor failure, but because, in my holy presence, everything not of me must bow. No more striving to make things work. No more effort to be good enough. Only pure humility, complete surrender. You will be astonished by what I do in you, not through success, but through breaking. And you will realize what I wanted was not your outcome, but you. There are things I will not explain, not because I want you to be in the dark, but because my wisdom is not in justification, it is in revelation. And revelation comes only in silence, in waiting, in surrendering to the truth that you do not need to understand, you only need to trust. The certainty you long for will no longer rest on what happens next, but on the assurance that I am the one holding every ending. That is the greatest freedom, when you stop living by what you can see and start living by the one who never changes, even when everything else does. In this season, you may feel lost among those who once understood you. They may ask, "What are you doing? This looks like failure." You may even doubt yourself as you look around and watch everything seemingly vanish. But remember, there are things I am doing that no human language can describe. There are depths you can only pass through, you cannot retell them. Not because they aren't real, but because they are too real for words to contain. The transformation I am working in you is sacred, set apart, and deeply personal. It is not meant for display, not for justification, not for proof. It is meant to be lived fully, authentically within me. Those standing outside may never fully understand because they were not called into this moment. This is holy ground, a place for you and me alone. A place where the ordinary is consumed and the eternal begins to speak. This is the burning bush within your soul, unconsumed but blazing. This is the moment you remove your shoes, not walking by human calculation but by holy awe and reverence. This is your Moriah, where I ask for your most treasured offering, not to take it away but to show you that I am the provider. This is your Gethsemane, where you must drink a cup you did not choose, but which contains the fullness of your life's calling. You will learn to live not by your own strength, but by the power that comes from me. You will be reshaped, not as one chasing surface wisdom, but as one breathing by the Spirit. Stillness will become the place where you meet me more deeply than in any gathering. Weariness will become an invitation to rest in my embrace. And right there in the unseen and the uncelebrated, you will become more like me than ever before. This season may not be easy to grasp, but it is the season of true life being born. Not radiant like the midday sun, but tender like the dawn over still waters. Not loud like victory trumpets, but sacred like a whisper in the secret place. I am forming in you a being that no longer lives by the expectations of others, but by the affirmation of heaven. I am placing within you a faith that does not shake before praise or misunderstanding, a peace that does not depend on outcomes. And then the day will come when you step out of this season not carrying fear but scars, not to be ashamed of, but as proof that you have truly encountered me. People will look at you and be unable to explain the steadfastness, the gentleness, the quiet power you carry, and you will not need to speak much. The presence you carry will be the answer. Your eyes that once wept in darkness but now shine from having seen the Holy One, will silence many. My beloved, take heart. I am in every moment. I am writing every word of this season with unshakable love. And I promise no tear will be wasted. No lonely hour will pass in vain. I will turn it all into glory. Not just glory around you, but glory within you, where I dwell. And when the wind passes, when the dust settles, when the haze finally lifts, you will hear my whisper, the one you've longed to hear all your life. My beloved child, I know you. I chose you. I delight in you. Dearest one, no matter how dark the pages of your story have been, you will never walk through them alone. When all the lights around you go out, when words fail to express the weight within your heart, that is when I draw nearest. Not with noise, not with force. I come like warmth wrapping around your cold soul. When you no longer have the strength to pray, do not think I have stopped listening. For when your lips fall silent, your soul still speaks, and I hear every trembling beat with the heart of a father who never sleeps through his child's pain. Do not fear your emptiness, for I do not require your strength to draw near. I do not expect you to enter my presence with eloquent prayers or perfect faith. If all you have are silent sighs, if all you carry are unanswered questions, you can still come near, and I will not turn you away. I will sit with you when you have nothing to offer. I will be there when all you can say is, I don't understand. I am not wounded by your honesty. I do not retreat when you wrestle with me. On the contrary, that is when I open my arms and say, finally you have come just as you are. Don't hide the chaos in your heart. I do not need you to appear strong when you're falling apart inside. I do not wait for perfect faith, I wait for sincerity. Do not come to me in exhausted performances, lifeless repetitions, or fear of judgment. I do not love you because you are good. I love you because you are mine. And the very things you think are shameful, those are where I long to lay my healing hand the most. Bring it all, my child. Bring the disappointment, the anger, the fear, even the doubt that screams inside. I do not flinch. I do not retreat. I will remain until everything falls silent, and you hear me whisper, I have not changed. I still love you. It is in the lowest place where you have no strength left to uphold your image that I will reveal myself most clearly. No more veils, no more pretending, no more masks of righteousness. Only a naked soul and a gentle Almighty. That is the true meeting place, not where you climb up, but where I step down. In the rubble of what once seemed secure, I am building what cannot be shaken. A life that does not come from striving but surrender. An intimacy that comes not through knowledge, but through walking with me in your pain. There is something deeply personal, profoundly sacred, that I have longed to share with you, but I cannot impart it while your heart is still distracted, while you still believe you are in control. I wait not because I am distant, but because love requires a space that is truly open. And my child, it is pain that has opened that space. No sermon can replace the experience you and I are walking through together. No book holds the words to describe what I am imparting into your soul in this moment. For what I am giving you is not an answer, it is myself. My presence is too powerful for a soul that has not yet been broken to contain. My glory is too weighty to rest upon shoulders still clinging to an old self. That is why you feel like you are dissolving. But do not fear, my child. When you are broken, it is not defeat, it is preparation. When every support around you crumbles, the only one left will be me. And it is then that you will begin to understand what those who have never suffered cannot. I am the one who is enough. You will find me as a close friend in the silent night, as a father holding your hand through each trembling step. You will sense me not through logic, but through every tremor in your spirit. In the midst of pain, you will encounter a side of me you have never known before, a love that not only comforts but restores, that does not merely wipe away tears but pours healing oil into the very roots of your wounds. I do not only desire to heal your body, I want to heal the places within you that have made you doubt your worth, the parts that were once rejected, wounded, and covered with identities not given by me. I will become the light not merely to guide your way, but the very path beneath your feet. You will no longer need to seek me somewhere distant, for when you are broken, I will step into each shattered piece and form something new, a vessel no longer cracked but refined to hold my glory. What you thought was the end is truly the threshold. What you perceived as loss is in fact a sacred exchange, and what you assumed was ruin is the moment I clear the space to fully dwell within you. My dear one, nothing is happening by accident. Everything I allow is held within my wise and loving hands. And even if you do not understand, trust that my love has never diminished. I do not change, I do not withdraw, I do not regret choosing you. I do not love a better version of you. I love you as you are in the very mess you are in. And I will stay until you are still enough to realize my presence is the greatest gift you can receive in any season of life. And then one day in the quiet after the storm, when all that remains is the sound of your own heartbeat, you will realize something I never left you. But not only that, you will begin to see that I am not only the God of miracles, of dramatic rescues, of instant interventions, of visible triumphs. I am also the God of nights with no light. I am the one who sits beside you with unwavering patience in moments no one else understands. When the world has run out of patience, when even you have no strength left to wait, I am still there, not pushing, not judging, not demanding you get over it faster. I am in no hurry. True love never rushes. I walk with you not in thunder and lightning, but in steps so gentle you only hear them once. Everything else has grown quiet. I accept your tears. I do not brush them aside. I silently collect them one by one, like a father gathering fallen petals into his hands. I do not tell you not to hurt. I only want you to know that within that pain you are not alone. I am there, silent but fully present. And in each such moment something is being etched into your soul that no joy could ever carve. There will come a time when the storm is past and you will rise not quickly, not triumphantly, but with a peace you have never known before. You will look at the land once ravaged by winds and see new seeds sprouting. Not everything will be restored as it once was, but what is being born now will be deeper, stronger, more sacred, no longer fragile things. No longer a shallow faith, but a being refined. You will hear me not in the roar of thunder, but in the whisper of wind. You will see me not only in the grand and miraculous, but in the way a leaf falls gently to the ground in a ray of sunlight resting on the window pane in the eyes of a stranger smiling through the crowd. I will become part of the rhythm of your daily life, no longer separate, no longer just someone you pray to in times of need, but a living, intimate, unbroken companionship. And from deep within you, a new fragrance will begin to rise, not the scent of obvious victory, but the fragrance of holiness. A scent that only fire can produce, one that only those who have walked through the lands of brokenness can carry. People around you will sense it. They may not know what has happened, but they will feel a depth in your presence, a gentleness not easily found. They will know, though they may not name it, that you have entered sacred ground and now carry its imprint into the ordinary. No one walks through a true spiritual upheaval and returns the same. Neither will you. But this transformation will not close you off. It will open you. You will not become colder, but more kind, not bitter, but more meek, not fearful, but steadier, because you now know what is true, what is eternal, and what is only passing wind. And in the very moments when it feels like everything is falling apart, something eternal will touch your soul, as if the veil between heaven and earth, once opaque, becomes suddenly transparent. The sky no longer feels distant. Heaven is no longer a vague concept. It becomes real, near, leaning in and covering you with a presence both tender and authoritative, until you no longer search for words. You simply fall silent and grateful. In that instant, everything halts in a sacred stillness. The world may continue its noise, but to you it is silent. Only I remain, and you standing together in that complete quiet. No miracle needed, no proof required, because you have become the miracle. Not something that happened outside, but something that was born within. And I, your Father, will look upon you in that moment with a smile that speaks no words, with eyes that offer no judgment, only eternal, deep, unwavering love. You will understand, not with the mind, but with the whole soul, nothing was wasted. My beloved, I know the pain sometimes clouds your vision. There are days when the light you once leaned on seems to vanish. You try to look toward me, but see only a fog of disappointment, confusion, and abandonment. But even when your eyes cannot see, your soul still knows the way home. Even when your mind cannot explain, the deepest part of you still feels. My heartbeat, gentle, steady, and never straying from love. Do not let the uncertainty of the present cause you to doubt my presence. I have never left. I have always been there behind what you cannot see. Like a potter hidden behind the wheel, I am silently shaping every part of you. Every pause, every empty moment you fear is actually a necessary rest in the sacred melody I am composing. You are not forsaken. You are placed precisely, purposefully into the moment I have ordained as a perfect piece in the vast picture you cannot yet see. You may lose something you once clung to, a dream, a person, a place, or a definition of yourself. And you will cry, you will wrestle, you will ask, why, Father? But I do nothing without meaning. I remove nothing unless it no longer serves your eternal journey. No loss comes without transformation. No door closes without an invitation into something new. Remember this. My child, I am not the one who breaks to abandon, but the one who dismantles to rebuild. I never take away to leave you empty, but to make room for the eternal to be sown. What I prune from you is not what you need to hold on to, but what is keeping you from stepping into true maturity. You may not see it now, but time will reveal it, and faith will carry you forward, even without all the answers. You will be shaken. What once felt unshakable will tremble. The foundations you thought were secure may crack, but my child, this shaking is not destruction, it is purification. I am moving you out of the shallow ground into deeper soil where the roots of your faith no longer depend on what is seen but anchor into my unchanging truth. You will no longer live by what is temporary. You are being called to live for what no one can take from you. My presence, my guidance, and the eternal purpose I have etched in your soul since the foundation of the world. Let me do my work in you. Even when it hurts, confuses, or feels like you're falling apart, it is in that very breaking that I touch the place you've never let anyone touch. I am transforming you from within. Not so you can appear better to others, but so you can become more like me in your innermost being. And that is the most precious gift you can ever receive. Keep moving forward even if you see nothing ahead, for I go before you, walk beside you, and uphold you from behind. Every loss, every tear, every unanswered prayer, they are not lost in my hands. They are working quietly but powerfully to bring you to the place you didn't even know you longed for. My cherished child, it is time for you to learn the way of letting go, not as one defeated, nor as one stripped of hope, but as a child placing their hand in the Father's, trusting to be led into a path broader than their eyes have ever seen. Letting go here is not abandoning your dreams, but releasing your grip from the small frames you yourself have built around your destiny. For you often long to control, to confine everything within your narrow sight, but I behold what lies far beyond your imagination, and it is in the very moment you release that you will feel my hand lifting you, guiding you into the land of holiness. My child, I do not treat lightly the dreams you have carried. I know the prayers you have whispered, the waiting you have endured, the tears and sweat poured out to nurture them. I honor every sincere desire. But I want you to recognize a greater truth. Some of the things you dream are only faint reflections of what I have prepared. You think that dream is the final destination, but in my eyes it is only a step, a rung on the ladder, drawing you higher away from being caged within the temporary. I do not take away what you love to punish you or to deny your worth. I only open the door wider to show you there is another joy, purer, lasting, born from my own heart. It is not given to replace your dream, but to fulfill it, to bring it into its fullness. Picture this: you cling tightly to a rough, uncut stone, afraid that if you let go, you will be left with nothing. Yet you do not see that I am ready to give you a gem already shaped and radiant, one no one can take away. You cannot receive it while your hand is still clutching the stone. Letting go is an act of courage, admitting that you do not know everything, daring to believe that your Heavenly Father knows what you need and when you need it. Letting go is also an act of humility, releasing the illusion of being the master of your own life, allowing me, the Creator, to write the story with a hand surer and wiser than yours. Know this: letting go does not mean loss. It is the doorway into a new journey. When you cease clinging with tense grasp, your heart becomes light enough to receive grace. When you release the old, your hands are wide enough to receive the new. Just as a tree must shed its dry leaves to make room for fresh shoots, just as the soil must be broken open to make space for seeds to grow, so letting go is the first step by which new life begins. I know there is fear within you. Fear that if you release, you will fall into emptiness. Fear that if you do not hold on, you will lose everything. But trust me, where you see an abyss, I have already placed arms to catch you. Where you see darkness, I have prepared light. Where you think it is the end, I am writing a new chapter. No surrender in me ever leads to emptiness. It always leads to fullness, even if your eyes cannot yet see it. Do not be ashamed to weep as you release. Tears do not make you weak. They are the true language of a soul being set free. Let them water the dry ground within you, that new seeds may break forth. One day you will see that what I give is not only better in the worldly sense, but holy. It is untainted by calculation, untouched by decay, designed uniquely for you, so that your soul may find its deepest meaning. My child, the destiny I have set apart for you cannot be stolen and cannot be replaced. It is your portion, your fitted garment, your path alone to walk. The sooner you lay down the burdens you built for yourself, the sooner you will find the freedom within the plan I designed. Do not compare your path to another's. Every soul has its rhythm, its mission. Trust that what I have reserved for you is unique, and when you step into it, you will understand why I delayed, why I taught you to wait, why I invited you to release. Letting go, beloved, is in truth the way of holding. When you release, you take hold of something greater, my hand itself, and when your hand rests in mine, nothing can make you afraid, for I will lead you through every storm into the land of eternal blessing. Let your small dream dissolve like morning dew, so that my dawn may shine on fresh fields. Let faith be your guide, let my words echo in your heart, and let your steps no longer halt in the past, but move toward the new land I have prepared. Therefore, my child, do not cling to shadows. Do not embrace what is temporary and call it everything. Release and believe. For when you believe, you will see. I do not take away to leave you empty, but to return to you your true self, to restore to you the life I have written with love and infinite wisdom. And in that life you will discover a fullness that nothing earthly can ever bestow. My beloved child, hear Father speak, in a voice both comforting and resolute. The time has come for you to stop carrying the versions of life you have constructed for yourself, those perfect scripts you believed were necessary to be safe, to be acknowledged, to be happy. You clutched them like a thin blanket on a cold night, convinced that as long as you would not let go, you would not feel the chill. Yet that blanket only made you shrink inward, constricting you and robbing you of the reach needed to feel the sun. Now, Father invites you to lay down the expectations that have exhausted your breath, not because they lack value, but because they have been distorted into invisible shackles, forcing you to live a copy of desire instead of the original truth of who you are. Look closely. How many if only-s hang before your eyes like ghosts, breeding fear and constant repression? How many unrealized visions have taken possession of your heart so completely that you forget to breathe in the present? How many future pictures you have painted and compelled yourself to follow, so that when life turns another way, you dare not move for fear of admitting you were wrong? You have held those scripts with trembling hands, afraid of the void that would open if you released them. You feared that if you did not cling, everything would fall away and there would be nothing left to hold. But Father says that fear is an illusion born of loss. Reality is not total annihilation, but exchange. When you let go of the vessel you believed contained all your worth, Father will place something else in your hands, not as a heartless substitution, but to complete you along a higher, purer way. You imagine you will be left empty, yet you will receive something beyond your imagination, a gift your eyes have not yet shaped, because imagination itself is limited. Let Father paint this image. You stand by a riverbank holding a clump of warm earth, afraid that if you loosen your grip, the path ahead will be empty. Father tells you to open your hand and let the earth fall. At that very moment, a hand appears offering a seed already sprouted. If you patiently plant and tend it, when what you once clung to has burned to ash, what you receive will be a living tree in bloom and fruit. This is the mystery of letting go, not an end, but the beginning of a chain of transformation that cannot be worked out by calculation. You may protest, but Father, if I abandon the plan, I will have nothing to hold on to. I will be adrift. Father knows that fear and does not reproach you for it. That fear marks a heart that needs training. Letting go is not recklessness. It is the expression of faith forged by trial. When you release, Father does not leave you exposed. He stands there with his hand open, but you must have the courage to step forward, to trust, to accept that the road Father lays may differ from the one you pictured. Letting go is an act of trust. You grant Father the right to rearrange, to reset, to renew, and in that very act of ceasing to cling, you find a lightness, a widening of vision, a readiness to receive the new. Father also wants you to notice another thing. Often it is the perfection of our imaginations that robs a desire of its true character. You long for one thing, crave another, yet these longings, painted too finely, are only beautiful on paper. When confronted with life, they become sensational, rigid, and they refuse the pliancy, the gentleness, and the grace that real conditions might bring. To release the if only-s is to permit desire to speak freely with reality, to be shaped by circumstance, to be tested and grow more mature. Do not regard the alteration of a dream as failure. It is refinement, like the artisan who sharpens a blade so that the edge may serve its purpose rather than merely be displayed. You must understand that Father does not ask you to forget your aspirations. He merely invites you to relinquish the old descriptions of how those aspirations must come to pass. Keep the longing, but let go of the insistence that there is only one way for it to be fulfilled. When you loosen your grip, you still hold the spirit of the dream, but you create space for Father to work wonders. Many times you have lost not because you did not strive, but because you strove in the wrong way, forcing everything into a narrow mold. Father invites you to try a new way. Hold your desire, but release the mold. Work diligently, yet remain flexible about the route. Plan, but be ready to change when Father opens another path. You will surely ask, how will I know when to let go and when to persist? This becomes an art you learn gradually. There are seasons that call for endurance and seasons that call for retreat to receive guidance again. The distinguishing sign lies in your inner sense, when clinging becomes a burden, when joy turns into anxiety, when duty harvests fear rather than fruit. That is the time to set it down. Conversely, if holding fast still gives you life, nourishes your longing, and calls true to your heart, then continue. Father wants you to learn to discern through inner stillness, through prayer that is sincere, through listening to His voice in quiet moments. Letting go is not a knee-jerk reaction, but a decision reached in prayer, recognizing harmony between your soul and Father's word. Do not forget that letting go is itself a victory. Victory over fear, over the need for control, over the illusion that you can keep everything in your hands. Courageous people face the moments when they must release the familiar in order to approach true freedom. When you do, you do not lose, you arise. You will discover that some treasures are found only when you part with the small guarantees you thought secured you. Those treasures may be a relationship renewed in greater authenticity, a work that fits the life within you, a peace not dependent on possessions, or a new capacity of the heart, formerly stifled by comparison. Father also invites you to recognize the healing power of tears and sorrow during the letting go. Tears are not signs of weakness, but the song of a heart being purified. Allow yourself to grieve, allow yourself to be sad, but do not let sorrow become a permanent bed. The release can hurt, yet that pain is used by Father to train your heart to make it softer, more responsive, ready to praise new mercies. Trust that every wound, when placed in Father's hands, will be shaped into a part of your story that deepens your understanding of love calling and the true worth of your life. Father knows you fear losing honor in the eyes of others when you relinquish a celebrated dream. You fear being seen as faint-hearted. But Father wants you to remember, your worth is neither granted nor taken away by the world. Your value rests in the identity He gives. When you let go, Father still looks upon you with loving eyes and lifts you up. You need not justify yourself before people. Live honestly before Father, and that is enough to fulfill your life. People may misunderstand you at first, may criticize, but in time, they will see the beauty of someone brave enough to change in order to live authentically, and meanwhile you live for Father, not for fickle approval. When you dare to open your hands, Father promises to place into your heart things that are better, not measured by worldly standards, but by the metrics of holiness, inner steadiness, and the deep purpose you were born to fulfill. You will receive blessings shaped by eternity, consolation when you are weary, guidance when you are lost, community when you are lonely, and a subtle yet powerful leading that brings you toward your destiny. These things may come as surprises, an encounter, an opportunity, a word of counsel, or a fresh insight in the depths of your being, but all are evidence that Father does not abandon you. So, my dear one, let your hands truly open, lay down the expectations that weary you. Release the if-only-s that drag your spirit to the depths. Relinquish the self-painted images that have become chains. Rather than clutching a copy of a dream, allow it to be transformed by Father's hands. Open your heart to receive a future that Father's creativity can write upon the soil you have prepared with tears and faithfulness. When you dare to do this, you will see that what you feared losing never truly disappears. It is transfigured, uplifted, and returned to you in a form more beautiful, more holy, and more fitting to the deepest person you are. And in that moment, you will understand that letting go is not loss, but reception, the receiving of yourself, the receiving of a fuller life, drawn by the hand of everlasting love. Hear this, my beloved child. Let these words fall over the weary places of your heart like a warm blanket. What I am leading you toward is not the outcome of some contest that measures perfection, nor a prize reserved for those who have never stumbled, but a sacred inheritance woven stitch by the very steps you have bravely taken through darkness, by every time you chose to trust, though your eyes had not seen and your mind had not yet understood. This is not a glittering trifle embroidered by the world with fleeting radiance. It is an intimate structure, a treasure of the soul stamped with stability and holiness, a gift prepared in secret, shaped in a form the world struggles to imagine because it does not fit the molds of wealth, status, or mere self-preservation. I set a pattern for you before you could name yourself. I marked you with a distinct path, and now each faithful step you take, however small, adds a thread to that fabric. Every moment you keep faith amid the storm, every time you choose love instead of retaliation, every patient endurance in despair, all these accumulate into an inheritance recognized only by the eyes of the Spirit. Imagine your life as a book written slowly, word by word, in the ink of experience. The darkest pages do not erase the story, but provide the background against which later passages shine. There are chapters you long to see filled with light at once, yet I know that those starless nights honed the inner parts of you so that your heart could bear and empathize. The legacy I give is not ostentatious with stage lights. It radiates quietly. It is the honor of living honestly, the authority that springs from an unshakable source, the dignity restored after the trial by fire. As you walk that way, people may not understand and may even mock or withhold recognition. Yet you will hear within yourself another voice, an inner affirmation that what I have placed in you matters far beyond outward measures. Do not let your mind equate worth with the smooth sheen of surface appearances. What I grant does not follow the ebb and flow of worldly fortunes. It is measured by the depth of the heart, by endurance and renewal. A life woven from quiet sacrifices carries a mysterious beauty, and that very beauty makes a stature the world cannot produce. Understand that spiritual authority does not come from applause, but from the faithful voice you raise when no one listens, from acts of love done, when no one sees, from the choice to forgive when you still bear the wound. These, my child, are the bricks from which the inheritance I promise is built, durable, pure, able to withstand the tests of time. You will see that this inheritance does not arrive by an easy road. It grows in the moments you feel most small. Remember, it is precisely those times when you choose to trust without evidence, those nights you kneel with empty hands, those moments you accept misunderstanding to hold fast to truth. All of these are the particles that form that sacred patrimony. I do not glorify showiness, yet I bestow glory in another manner, not blinding but enduring, not loud but possessing inner power, not always reasonable to a narrow intellect, but wholly authentic to the spiritual eye. There are mysteries beyond human judgment, and the plan I have for you belongs to that order, a template heaven has printed into the map of eternity, a route made for each soul born with a purpose that is not duplicated. Do not be troubled if this seems paradoxical. I call you to faithfulness in the unseen, trust in silence, persistence in days without visible fruit. These principles defy worldly logic, but form the essence of spiritual living. When you learn this art, you will discover that true power is not the control of every event, but the steadiness of a soul amid the waves, and that steadiness is the instrument I use to accomplish greater purposes. You are invited to believe that small steps of faithfulness can lift as surely as celebrated leaps. In my sight, fidelity in small things can open the door to royal grace. The spiritual glory I grant is not theatrical, yet it transforms. It turns trivial concerns into meaningful responsibilities. It converts toil into lessons that cut to the heart. It transfigures pain into a foundation for compassion. You will realize that, unlike flashy splendor that fades, these values are not worn down by time or by harsh judgments. When you live by that pattern, your life becomes a source of blessing to others, not materially perhaps, but spiritually. Gentle touches that warm many cold hearts, small lights that guide lost footsteps. That is the life force of the inheritance I give, and you are called to keep and pass it on, not to hoard it for yourself alone. Let your heart be comforted. You need not create everything by your own strength. You are a co-worker in the making of a greater work. I do not abandon you to solitary striving. I am with you in every moment you choose to go on. You may not yet see with your natural eyes, but I am arranging small details so that the future takes shape. Chance, encounters, seemingly trivial opportunities, priceless counsel from someone you thought you did not know. All are the bridges I use to bring you to the goal. Therefore, do not be quick to judge the silence of the present. Do not let shallow comparisons cause you to miss the abundance being prepared. When you learn to wait with patience and without doubt, you will witness the unfolding of a carefully wrought plan revealed little by little. You may wonder, how can I be sure those faithful small steps truly matter? The answer comes through experience. As you continue, as you repeat acts of love, as you keep integrity in temptation, you will sense a profound difference. Fear will shrink, Courage will widen, and a deep sense of purpose will rise in your heart. This is not a sensation of being rewarded by worldly standards, but the echo of a soul recognizing its cooperation with the sacred. Signs of this may be inner calm amid storms, clarity and decision when all is unclear. Others noticing a change in you and coming to be led. These concrete expressions are proof that the inheritance is being woven. Know also that this spiritual reward does not remove sorrow or suffering from your life. Rather, it transmutes that material into glory. Just as metal must pass through fire to be purified, your heart must be tested so that love there may shine more brightly. Do not fear seeing yourself weak. It is precisely there that I work most powerfully. Each wound you bring before me will be transformed, not erased into forgetfulness, but reshaped into lines that contribute to the new face I form in you, a face marked by communion, compassion, and a delicate beauty given only through trial. So, my dear one, continue to walk in the conviction that the inheritance prepared for you is real, certain, and worthy. Do not be seduced by counterfeit brilliance or frightened by what the world calls proof of success. Keep your hands at work, your eyes lifted, and your heart open to receive the simple gifts I give. One day when you look back, you will see the tapestry of your life spread out with patterns not woven entirely by your own hand, but by you and I together, a work bearing the marks of trial and the undying beauty of grace. In that moment, you will profoundly understand what I give you is not a reward for perfection, but the legacy of faithfulness, a spiritual treasure, born of unseen steps of decisions, to trust of a heart that knows how to wait and love without weariness. The tragedy you are going through is not the end. It is the first page of a new book, a chapter not written by your hands but by your tears, by silence, by quiet faith, unseen by others. It is at the intersection of your weakness and my power that something great will begin, not loudly, not with display, but truly, deeply, and eternally. And then at some moment, perhaps in the stillness of the midnight hour, or amid the world's clamor, you will remember these words. They will echo in your heart like a sacred bell. This is not punishment. This is sanctification. You will suddenly realize that everything has been intricately woven together, that what seemed shattered was actually the mold for something new, that what you wept over losing had to leave so that what is eternal could grow. And in that moment, you will no longer blame me. You will give thanks. Not because you understand everything, but because you have met me in the very place you once feared the most. I never act by chance. I do not touch your heart on a whim as if experimenting with something foreign. No, my child, I know every strand of hair on your head, every unnamed sorrow, every silent longing you've never dared to voice. Nothing within you is beyond my care. And when I allow the storm to rise, it is not because I wish for your collapse, but because I know that behind the gray clouds lies a gentle rain, one that will water the dry land within you. Land you didn't realize had become so parched. Do not panic when everything turns upside down. I am planting in you a new vision, a new sensitivity, a wisdom that doesn't come from books, but from the sacred encounter between frail humanity and me, the Eternal One. Yes, there will be times of doubt, times when you feel lost, but I promise you this, if you keep holding on to me, not to understanding, but to me, you will not lose your way. Because ultimately what truly matters in your life is not success, not safety, not the fulfillment of every dream, but me. I am your reward. I am the destination, the answer to your deepest questions, the peace in the midst of the storm. No one can replace me. Nothing can satisfy you like my presence. And in the moment you realize this, that all you have lost was merely the old garment so that you may be clothed in glory, you will step into true freedom. Freedom, not born of circumstance, but born of this unshakable truth: I am yours and you are mine. And when those dark days pass, when the whirlwind settles, when all that seemed ruined lies behind like a distant dream, you will no longer yearn to return. You will not plead for the familiar comforts of the past. Not because they were evil, but because now your soul has tasted something better. You will no longer grieve what was lost, because that very loss made way for what can never be taken away. Your eyes will no longer see through old lenses clouded by fear and calculation, but will be washed clean in the stream of grace to see things as I see them. Then you will love not because you feel obligated to love, but because you have been immersed in unconditional love. The heart once choked by disappointment and unmet expectations will become soft and expansive, not by effort but through inward transformation. You will no longer be easily wounded by criticism, no longer shaken by others' opinions. For the peace within you will not come from this world. It will come from me, the one who was with you in the darkness, and now remains with you in the light. And upon you something different will be seen, not human glory, but a quiet yet profound authority. People may not understand what it is, but they will sense something in you that makes them bow, not out of fear, but in recognition of my presence. It is not authority born of achievement, but of brokenness. Not from holding on, but from surrender. Not from domination, but from a love that melted and was recast in the fire of holiness. You will become a new vessel, no longer leaking through the cracks of the past, but repaired by my own hands. A vessel not only clean but empty, ready to be filled. And what I will pour in is not what you once asked for, but my very self. Glory will no longer be something you see from afar, but something that lingers in every action, every glance, every word you speak. People will come not because you are impressive, but because you are real. They will know that the life flowing from you does not come from you. It comes from a source beyond all understanding. So, my child, be strong, not in the flesh, but in the spirit. Prepare your heart not with human weapons, but with humility. Enter what is to come not with the mindset of one under judgment, but with the posture of one chosen to meet me more deeply than ever before. You are not being excluded. You are being invited. Not to a courtroom, but to the most holy place. Not to be exposed, but to be revealed. You will not be buried by this season. This season does not come to end you, but to bury what has expired. There are dreams I must allow to die, not because I reject them, but because I am birthing something else greater, deeper, more eternal. Burial is only the beginning of growth. What is decaying today will soften the soil for spiritual sprouts to emerge. And the next season will not begin with a shout, but with a sacred silence, where life begins from death. If you could see through my eyes, you would see how every detail is quietly coming together like small pieces of a puzzle yet to be completed. The current pain does not stand alone. It is part of the tapestry I am weaving. You cannot see the full picture, but I can. And I do not miss the path. I do not slip. Every second you endure, every minute you wait, every time you choose to trust me, instead of doubt, it all carries eternal value. Do not fear when others misunderstand you. Do not lose heart even when you yourself feel confused. For this is not a season for answers. This is a season for sowing, a season to die to self and live again in the Spirit. I know exactly what seed I have placed in your heart, and I will tend to it, water it, guard it from the enemy, and cause it to sprout at the appointed time, not early, not late. One day you will look back and realize the greatest gift was not that I answered your prayers the way you asked, but that I stayed with you, even when your words seemed to vanish into silence. The greatest blessing was not what you received outwardly, but what changed within. And the most precious lesson you learned was this: I am enough. You need nothing else. Only me. You will live differently. No longer swept away by the voices out there, no longer confused by comparison, no longer afraid of loss as before. For now you know with certainty that you are held in my hands, and nothing can take you from there. You will not beg to return to what once was, because the new has become more real, more precious, more alive than all old memories. And the most valuable thing you carry will not be a crown but a scar. Not reputation but presence. I will be your reward. Not gold, not position, not opportunity. Me. And when you have me, you have everything. And I will still be here, my child. Not only in the days when your steps are sure, but even in those moments when you stagger, unsure where you belong. I will not leave you. Not today, not tomorrow, not for 1 second in all eternity. My presence is not dependent on your mood nor shaken by what you understand or don't. My love is not conditioned by your actions but rooted in an eternal covenant written in my very heart. I have chosen you not once but forever. Not because you are capable, not because you are flawless, but because you are mine, and what I have begun in you I will bring to completion. Even if you walk through shadows, lose your way, or grow weary, I will still be there, never withdrawing. When everything you once trusted shakes, when silence falls over all things, when no one walks beside you anymore, know this: I am walking next to you quietly but firmly, like an unshakable foundation. This road is not easy. It is filled with stones and crossroads that stir questions. It has tears and sobs in the night no one hears. But because you walk it with me, it becomes the perfect road. Not because it's easy, but because it leads you to where you truly belong. And at the end of the journey, you will not only survive, you will be reborn. No longer bearing the old form, no longer tied to old limits, but as a new person, refined like silver, tested like gold, carrying within you my deep imprint. The life I will give you is unlike anything you've ever known. It's not the success that dazzles others, nor glory born of applause. It is a beauty formed only in tears, where songs are written from sorrow and faith is forged in silence. You will not find it in dazzling palaces, but in shadowy valleys where you keep walking though no exit is in sight. You will not discover it through comfort, but through each time you kneel in weariness and still whisper, I trust you. And then one day, not because you read this somewhere, but because you've lived it, you will pause, look around, and proclaim from the depths of your soul, surely the Lord was in this place. He never left me. And from that moment on, you will never be the same. You will carry something eternal. No one can take it. No event can steal it. A sacred nearness to me, a wisdom born of brokenness, a beauty that only comes from souls once crushed yet never stopped hoping. You will move forward, not by your own strength but by grace, not merely to live but to live for me. And with every step you take from then on, heaven will whisper, there walks the one who was with the Father in the dark and now carries light within. Now come near to me, not with lips, but with your bare heart. Offer me the words from your soul's depths, like the first fragrance of the morning. O God of all seasons of both light and darkness, I come to you, not with polished words, but with a broken heart unhidden. If I must go through fire, be the Father in the midst of the flame. If I must fall, be the arm that lifts me. I do not ask to be spared from tragedy, but to find you in its midst. Do not let silence make me doubt your love, but use it to teach me trust. Open my eyes to see not the way out, but your presence. I surrender every moment, every step, every crack in my soul to the one who authored every second of my life. You are enough. You are real. You are my Father. Oh, one who dwells in the storm, who never abandons when my soul trembles with nothing left to hold, be the rock beneath my feet. I cannot see far, but give me enough light for one more step. When I am silent, be the voice. When I am shattered, be my new form. Take every doubt, weariness, anger, and melt them in your tender love. I know I don't understand, and I no longer need to. I just need you there. Hold me, Father, like a child who doesn't need an explanation, just arms. I believe though I cannot see. I love though I still fear. I follow even through the dark. May my soul forever belong to you. O you who see through the darkness and illuminate every hidden crevice of the soul, I do not ask for miracles. I ask for truth. I do not seek a smooth path, but your hand upon every turn. I do not ask to understand, only to draw near. Use this very tragedy to unlock the part of my soul I once sealed shut. Father, do not let me survive only to forget why I was spared. Make me as soft earth that when tilled may bear spiritual fruit. Do not let this pain be wasted. Let it become a cup of oil poured out for your kingdom. I fall silent now that I may hear your whisper. Merciful Father, I thank you for not abandoning me in my sorrow. Thank you for not answering with thunder, but with the quiet of your nearness. I cried out, and though I heard nothing, now I know you listened to every sob. Thank you that this pain is not a period, but an ellipsis, a beginning in the midst of the breaking. You did not withdraw, you stayed, and that is enough for my soul to rest. O Father, you who waste not a single tear, I give thanks, that now I carry within me the fragrance of the sacred. Thank you that even when I cannot explain a thing, I still hold fast to faith. And I know more precious than understanding is your presence. To you I return all glory. You who have walked with me, who have remained silent, who have held me through it all. I thank you from the depths of my soul. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong community of faith.